Hey guys, Salvi here, just reminding you to, of course, like, subscribe, and follow, and all that kind of good stuff that YouTube asks if you enjoy what video I'm going to put out for you today. Thank you. This is Adora Bunny, who is someone who is responding to, of course, the accusations of being a manipulator and being just very bad to her friend, who was, of course, radioactive. I did cover Radiaactive's actual, account of everything, or at least the one that they did with Lazerpig and a couple of others helping her out. And of course, I did say that when Adora did put out her stuff, I was going to put out her response, because that is the fair thing to do. Now, bit of a, I guess, trigger warning, whatever it is. There is SA mentioned in there. Not any one of them doing it to each other, but of their past and things like that. And there are some, basically, there's some tough subjects here. Just letting you guys know before we start. Also, before we start, I am going to editorialize a little bit of this stuff. Of course, as always, I'm not just going to be blindly reading. I am going to be giving my opinion as I go through these things, as I did with Radia. I'm going to treat Adora the exact same way I treated the whole thing with Radia, in the sense of the document is going to have some, commentary on my end. So be prepared for that. Now, as you can see here, she did put a response there, and I have my response a little bit there, because we're going to get to the point where she actually does a recording of an intervention that sounds more like a straight attack on Radia. So, let's go through here. She starts off everything, which is the strangest thing I found when reading through it. Starts off everything was like, basically, Radia deleted every single DM because she had to have nothing to do with her anymore. Friendship's over, and I have a feeling that Radia had a feeling that things were going to be used against them, and used against them in a way to manipulate a kind of a story and make them look worse. I've had those situations before where I have removed everything, not because I have anything that would be guilty or whatever, but I don't like people leaking my DMs. Now, does Radia have a leg to stand on about worrying about leaking DMs when she leaked DMs in general? I would say no in this case. I would say if you already leaked DMs, you don't have to worry about other people leaking DMs, because they're just going to be doing what you did to them. So that's just my belief on that. But here, basically, she's stating, delete every single DM. If not for the fact that I backed several of them up for fear she would attempt to cancel me publicly and protect myself. I can understand that whole point from both sides. I can understand the point from both sides. And I can also understand the point of, like I said, Radia deleting things, because she's just done with the whole thing. And she says here, I'm okay with that. Just happy we're talking. After stream would be best. It's okay. This is on the 29th of July. I'll let you know once I get off stream. You settled for it. We're in about 10 minutes. That works. See you soon. Take your time, but I'm ready whenever you are. That works. And then basically, Project Stim was the whole thing that they created. They're just talking about Project Stim and the fact that about being grateful to her community. That's something that was mentioned a lot before. That can seem bad in just when mentioning it like that. It is something that sometimes people share with friends. I used to share a lot of that type of stuff with friends. It's like, oh my god, my channel's not doing well. Oh my god, I'm not getting it. I'm on a ramen noodle budget. That type of thing. But when shared with friends, it can get annoying. I can understand that. That's why I don't share with friends like that anymore. Because, I'll just deal with it on my own. And it can get annoying, I guess, for some people when they're not making enough. I understand myself not making enough. If someone bigger than me was complaining several times about that situation, it would annoy me. But that is, like, the minimum. That is, like, bare, like, that is the smallest thing to get pissed off about. That is the smallest thing to get annoyed about. Very much the smallest thing to get annoyed about. And that is, of course, something that apparently was very much a point of contention for Adora and other people. Basically talking about how Radiaactive made the comment about I won't feel sorry for you for one of the Slice community members who did actually, it was found out later that they did spam like 7 or 8 times that they had given to Alicia and that type of stuff. And of course about her not making enough money when she was the one that made more money than anyone else in the community. This is a tiny point of contention. I don't know why this was brought up again, but I guess it is trying to show the personality of a radiaactive and trying to paint her in a bad light. Hoping that it is that. Yeah, I've had jank like this year. Told my community I wouldn't take a hiatus. Turn on putting himself out there for 40 hours is not worth it at the moment, like emotionally or fiscally. I'm always 100% of the belief that it's not worth to push through and burn out. Long it hurts you and content more. So yeah, basically mentioning streaming isn't worth it if she only makes $50 a stream. An issue we had to deal with I had to talk to her down multiple times, often in voice. So it goes down here. Like, it isn't worth it if for the net gain it may be $50 a stream. It really isn't, and cost is unfortunately a big factor if I do this or not. Because she was trying to do it as a income stream, the main income stream, and she's saying it's just not worth it. That is not the big problem. I think the big problem that people had, that people in the group had, was that it was mentioned several times. If you mention it once, I don't see it as ungrateful. Even several times, I don't see it as ungrateful. I see it as you worrying about being able to pay your bills. But I can definitely see how this can be annoying to people. That's why I don't do it anymore. Like I mentioned, I don't do it anymore. I'm not self-inserting here, but I'm just giving you an example of why I'm giving my takes, and my takes are the way that they are. So you can understand a little bit of my the way my mind processes these things, and the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. Gamer streams aren't consistent guaranteed income, that type of stuff there. So they're trying to talk her down. Hope you're okay. Trust we understand. Since your health is effing nightmare. And that's the thing. Adora's trying to say she understands. Radiaactive has in the other doc, the 93-page doc, she showed the tons of medical expenses that she has, all the things she has to pay for, a lot of them out of pocket because insurance only covers to a certain extent. So that is why she was worried about money more than anything. Paying the bills, keeping the lights on, and things like that can stress you out. Of course, it is, in a way, you can't really put that on your friends. You shouldn't really be putting that on your friends. But, you trust them to a certain extent. And it keeps going on here. Have more things on my shoulders, making it incredibly difficult. You'll be fine. Then Fenati comes here. I completely understand taking time away due to healing concerns. And here's the thing. Here's the issue that I have. Big issue. I'll just put this here before I read Fenati Modi's thing. Why are you leaking their stuff in there? I guess you're trying to say it wasn't just me, but other people as well. Did you ask Fenati if it's okay to leak her thing in the DMs as well? Did you ask other people if it's okay to leak their stuff in the DMs as well? That's the issue that I'm having here right now. But leaks were made before, but in the other ones, things were redacted. In the other ones, names were redacted, other than Adora and Radiaactive. And this one, nothing's being redacted. And that shows a little bit of more vindictiveness, I guess, in this case. More like, oh, you try to cancel me, now I'm going to show everything of yours. It's a whole mean girl thing. I don't think there's any good side on this one right now. Just seeing what I'm seeing right now, there's no real good side. So let's continue. Completely understand they need to take time away due to healing concerns or stress, especially due to testing and emotionally taking time would be good, but money would be good. But money being a deciding factor on whether or not the stream just makes you so much more stressed. And to me, that isn't a healthy mindset, especially because I know how much you love streaming. It's more a trade-off, Radiaactive says. Do I benefit more from the hours there or more from the other work efforts? I'm essentially forced to evaluate it that way currently. Is it worth the mental boost if I physically hurt after? Because she has back pains and things like that. And the main thing she's talking about here is that she is, of course, as I mentioned, she has a lot of medical bills. She has a ton of medical bills here. And as I had mentioned, that she does have those things. Literally the largest streamer in the group, again, being called out in this case. I can understand being called out a little bit. That is, of course, something that after you hear it so long, you can only take so much before you will call someone out. And I don't necessarily blame her for calling out, but in the situation that's going on here, it is kind of, I don't know, it's just mean girl stuff happening again and again. Day job won't pay you more. What you're going to do is time that's more productive. You really should value income and not self-worth. Certification work or dedicating time towards. Basically, they keep arguing here, as you can see. Just basically continuing about, talking 3 to 4 hours a week. You have zero reason to lie to you on this. Really limited energy. Basically continuing to fight and argue about this whole thing here when it comes to the her not feeling that it's enough to stream. And of course, everything keeps going on and on, like I mentioned, because they didn't want to go streaming about the whole streaming thing. And of course, they continue to leak other people's DMs involving this whole thing. Gonna be super kind, and people don't always want to show up for certain types of content. People genuinely like you as you are. High energy and content are low. CCV is literally the highest it's ever been. The shot over the medical issues. See, that's what she's explaining. It's just the medical issues. She's basically insecure about the whole thing. Thinks that it's going to be causing more issues and etc. It's going to be becoming a bigger problem when it comes to money, and that is absolutely understandable. She didn't really want to dive into everything. Again, she just keeps mentioning that stuff, and Adora uses this as kind of like a gotcha moment, I guess. It really is strange to do it here. And she's basically kind of making it like basically her and Fenati and others are being disrespected by Radia for saying all those things, because she says all those things. And he also talks about the Anime North thing, where she had a throne gift to go to Offkai, Anime North, to go other places like that so she can go. And Flamingo Master also had planned to go together and offered affordable places prior to because of income. Radia never told us originally she had interest in going until around a month or so before she started Project Sim. And all four of them are staying together in a hotel room, continuing the whole thing there. Basically, going through the whole rigmarole of, things that Radia had done. And then, for some reason, bringing up that Radia had food poisoning, but went out and did a bunch of stuff as well. Again, food poisoning can last anywhere from 12 to 48 hours, sometimes less. And it is, some people can soldier through it, as I said in the last video that I made on this stuff. So basically, they're talking about all these inconsistencies that they're seeing here. A booking flight to Offkai, made a comment that flight price increased by $150 and they tap into my savings. Radia then responded by saying, "Oh, I should book my hotel room, I guess," angrily, while then proceeded to book herself a suite. Angry, I think, was more a way that she perceived it. Maybe it wasn't angry. I don't know. I wasn't there. She then demanded, "I guess I might as well upgrade the suite, as this will only be $50 more a night or the whole stay." Being confused, it's like, no, the entire stay. I dropped the subject after that, confused. Basically continuing again with mentioning right now the document that I mentioned last time. I'm not sure if it was made it into the video, but there was a document that she made last time, kind of a bullet point list of all the things that they didn't like about what Radia had been doing, or at least she didn't like, at least Adora didn't like, and she spread it out to a bunch of different people. And she was saying about the kind of stuff here, no luring, because we want to talk to her as concerned friends. And this was the thing that started the intervention, the quote-unquote intervention. We used in reference to talk to her about during the intervention because we were worried about her, but still the document spread out to other people. That's the problem. The document was also not meant to ever be seen by anyone, but it did ultimately get spread. That's the problem. The document shouldn't really have been made if you were trying to get like a list of what we should ask. We should talk to her about this. We should talk to her about that. We should talk to her about that. In the document that was put out by Radia, put out by Radia in what Adora was saying, it was pretty much a laundry list of things they didn't like. Not so much, we should talk to you about this. We want to talk to you about this. We want to talk to you about this. It wasn't so much a list of things to go through, more of a list of things they didn't like, and it's ended up spreading. Now, the big issue I have here is that she went on a 20-minute call, or even longer actually, in regards to the intervention. She recorded this call without the consent of Radia or even any of the other people. Maybe the other people knew, who knows. Sometimes it's a one-party state where you don't have to let the person that you're recording know that you're recording. A lot of states are two-party states, in the ones and provinces and countries that are two-party state, the two-party entities, means the other party that you're recording needs to know and consent to the recording of the call. So, this is one part I don't like. I'm not going to go through all of it. It says, the event's final straw, giving us the benefit of the doubt, would ask the reader listener to keep this in mind for the context. Some important timestamps, 1730, we leave with emotions because of the hurt. This was more a pouncing on somebody, from what I have seen and heard. I'm not going to play all of it. I'll play little bits and pieces that are important, like a piece that I found from Salvi that's important. But we're going through, like, basically Fan palm myself for not looking out for Radia at the convention, and despite asking everyone, including her, wanted to eat. Basically, they were complaining to each other. Radia discusses rare steak she ate. Fen asked about in relation to our feelings, Radia not thinking we cared about her. When we mentioned issues, Radia not reaching out to creators for Anime North, as well as lying over the things over them, to them about things. Screenshot of reference to her saying she had done something when in fact she had never reached out to Juniper in the first place. So continues, stuff like that. The intervention call is a long one, and I will show you a piece of it here. At least little bits and pieces as I can, because it's going to be a whole long situation, and I want you guys to be able to listen to at least a little bit of it. Let's take a look. Listen, actually.
This can go in here. Repack.
For it, but even when I have a bad lactose attack, I can't eat properly the next day. And from what I've heard, you were eating just fine.
Yeah, I felt fine after I voided my body. I felt fine.
Radia,
that's not how that works.
I got food poisoning last month. I wasn't able to eat properly for 2 days. I couldn't hold down a cracker because my body rejected everything so bad. I was throwing up from 6 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon.
Well, I've had food poisoning, and it's lasted me about 6 hours when I had it. And yes, I officially went to the emergency room. They told me I had food poisoning, and yeah, it lasted about 6 hours for me. So it depends on the person. Yes, I'm not going to diminish the fact that they had a long food poisoning, but that's not the same for everybody.
Non-stop, and I was not able to eat solid food until the evening of the very next day, where it was a thing of soup.
Yeah, I just thought it was food poisoning from eating the meat.
It was not.
What I thought. So.
If you've had food poisoning ever in your life, you know what food poisoning is, and you know what food poisoning isn't.
I've gotten over.
This is very pedantic. This is very why should this matter so much? I guess because they think that she is trying to point out parts of her quote unquote lying, or thinking that she's lying, or saying that she's obfuscating the truth, or trying to make herself seem like more victim, etc. Let's move on a little bit further in.
Pink is fine. I've been told it's okay if I can eat rare.
But not pink. Rare is red. Every restaurant you will ever go to. So
they go on for this that's already been another 15 minutes where they're still talking about steak and stuff. That is a lot of time to be sticking on that.
Pink is medium rare. Pink is medium rare.
Is it?
Yes.
Yep. I'm not asking for dick sucking, but I'm also not asking to be kind of piled on.
No.
And have extra stress on my back, right? This entire opportunity, I know that you're the only one with a full-time job. I never asked anything of, I tried to keep my requests of you very minimal because I know you have the least time of any of us, right?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
And
that was intentional. That was an intentional choice. And
I felt like I just kept, I've been way more overwhelmed.
It's only a fuck up when you don't show the gratitude, any sort of gratitude. It's not a fuck up when you aren't able to do something because you're working and dealing with stuff. That's not the fuck up. The fuck up is not recognizing what people are doing for you, because it's not just this. I'm gonna stop ranting now because there's other people in this call. It's not just about me, obviously, but
I understand.
So this quote unquote intervention ended up being more an attack vector for everybody to let out any frustration that they had out on Radia. Whether this is right or wrong, I will leave that up to you, but I really think that recording it has made it much worse. Whether this whole thing was right or wrong, it really just felt more like, hey, we're going to use this as an excuse to let out all our frustrations out on you. Instead of an intervention to make you feel better or to make sure you change, it's we're going to dogpile on you, hoping that we can guilt you into changing in one way or another. I don't think the others went in thinking of that, but you know what happens? It always happens when other people can dogpile in. You feel a little bit more free and more liberating to be able to say that type of stuff. You also feel it's more acceptable in that situation to say that type of stuff, so it ends up kind of dogpiling and becoming worse. This is one part that I don't like about the situation, the fact that it was recorded. And if it was actual intervention call, I wouldn't have had as much of an issue with it. If it was actually them trying to show, at least from what I saw, it was more complaints other than, trying to actually help her. Maybe, because no one is a professional person at, psychological stuff, not even the full-on therapists are. It's hard to be able to do that properly, and from my opinion, they didn't do the quote-unquote intervention properly at all. So of course, they continue down there with the paycheck stuff, with the, other things that they had mentioned in the actual place. DMs claiming I was bullying her, manipulating her, abusing her. The entire unaltered, full transparent DMs. And here we go. And it goes, hope travels were safe. Hope I'm safe in the airport's right. Glad the trip was okay. Basically, it's going to be Meet's debut. I guess it's Meet Mommy or something like that. I'm checking with him. Oh, no, Meet some other person. Meet. With him on link to the stream and try to help support our raids. We need to have an emergency stim meeting right now. You can jump on working a stim, sure. Speaking about past relations with the dad. Well, the reason why that was cut out, if it was, because supposedly it was cut out, is because that doesn't relate to much. Like, if she would have released it, I'm sure Adora would have been like, how dare you release those things? She's damned if she does, and she's damned if she doesn't in this case. It is Adora's prerogative to release it or not. A lot of things were redacted on the other ones, especially trying to protect other people like Fenari Mori from getting involved in the whole thing. But Adora doesn't seem to really care about that. And it goes on a whole thing there. You need to recenter and change your approach. Says, basically, I do love and hurt. Don't feel like I can fully trust you anymore. It needs to be rebuilt. I need to recenter and change your approach. Saying you remind me of my dad is something I didn't realize, but my dad also got better. But it took years of work, and he still can't even touch our family money anymore. I guess there was, issues with money in that situation. Everything I want to let you know, I didn't leave Stim because I was upset. Just felt it shouldn't be present in the space. And then continuing on about overwork and other things like that she had mentioned, and going to sleep, things like that. And of course, she says, I'm going to be firm on this. Don't trust you right now. I don't feel comfortable having you on my stream, doing content with you, and you are my friend. I love you I have love for you. I want to see the good in you. Of course, they at least redacted something, which was the brother's name in this case, of Radia's brother's name, having on my stream, content, etc. Keep fighting, basically keep saying that this is the same thing we saw last time about, she was being lied to, etc., etc. And down here, she did mention that, Radia's brother had passed away. Radia mentioned it herself. I can't take the entire month off work and all that kind of stuff there. So here is a bit of the past of SA that Adora put out there, but Radia didn't want to, because I guess Radia didn't feel comfortable with it, and that's perfectly fine. Again, Adora is just letting out all the tea, because I guess it's gonna fit the whole situation a bit better. I don't like hearing later you told others that you were mad Fen came out to me after I was assaulted. I don't like hearing you told Kono I didn't help you enough. I'm not perfect, but I generally give you my everything. I just don't want you to lie or feel like I'm being lied to. That's all. We can fix this, but I need to understand it's wrong here, so we can fix this. It's gonna be a long road. This is a start. I want it to work. You're family to me. My dad's still my father. After we did to the family, I guess it was a financial thing. And that was the whole thing. Apparently the feeling that Radia didn't respect her, and I can understand that part, especially if you are an SA victim. A lot of things can be traumatizing, re-traumatizing, and that type of stuff there. So I can understand that whole point, and I'm not going to, now that I know a little bit more about the situation, I'm not going to put my value judgments on that part there specifically, because I've never gone through that. I've never gone through any of that, and I hope no one else ever has to go through that. But it does happen to people, and it is an extremely horrible thing. It is a life-altering thing, life-changing thing, life-destroying thing. It is really bad. And so then I understand what's wrong, what I've known for a while, and I've been trying and this trudge downhill, and then we continue the other parts here. It is, I think what ends up happening with Radia is maybe she is very insecure. I know that because I am as well, and she let her insecurities go around in her head for too long, and they can become a really, really bad self-deprecating, self-defeating cycle that goes on there. And apparently both her and Radia were assaulted by the same person. Horrible to see. Basically the same stuff here about the whole situation and the social cleanse and all that kind of stuff. It says, honestly, at that point, I find it easier than to watch everything fall apart more, and that's my work phone. You don't want any government company looking at the text. My personal is here. I'm unreachable. I'll always got my work phone around too. Just testing out stuff. Want my old friend back. Prompted of nothing. Gave support and money when I was sick. Not the one worrying about numbers and money from stream. I don't see a place for me right now. Again, insecurities just rearing their head, and that sucks because those things can absolutely, in this case, as they have, seem to destroy friendships. I remind you so you can focus on stuff, basically continuing there. Literally thousands of dollars of debt at the time and struck with the human malware, as some people have called it, with no way to work or pay bills. Never asked for anything from anyone. Again, everyone has had some bad stuff, of course. And I don't want to diminish any bad stuff that she has, but I'll let you, instead of me saying exactly what I was thinking, I'll let you guys decide what it is, because some people could see this as trying to manipulate and be like, yes, I did some horrible things, but so did they, type of thing, and I don't like it when people do that. So it is up to you guys, but it can also be seen as, hey, they didn't show my side. I want to show my side. This is what is going on my side. This is what I was going through. This is my thought process that I was going through. These are all the things that were going through my head, and having someone be negative and having someone talk about money when I wasn't able to make ends meet, when I was really worrying about whether I was going to be able to live in the place that I was living or not, or have a place over my head, it can be very stressful. So those are the two sides that it can be, and you guys decide which one you guys want to have it as. Thinking of leaving, I'll have to stay a month on planned isolation. Everything is so degrades. Same thing we read last time. And showing love, etc. I think at this point, Radia and Adora had been hurting each other for a bit, and Adora reacted the way that she did because she was hurt. Radia acted the way she did because she was being hurt by a friend by having all these things said. So that's the thing. And there's again, mentioning there's more than things to content, more than life than content. Nobody's a good person. The same thing we read last time. These are all basically a rehash of the same things that were happened last time. And same things about getting better. I don't want any more lies. I want to be able to trust again. It doesn't mean you ever get caught in a lie again. Our friendship is over. Just want you to take accountability when you are. Apologize, and then at least do it. Do it less. Also means something is off. I'm going to just ask for receipts for a while, like I did with my dad. Same thing that happened last time. And in context, it sounds less bad than what happened before, because she's coming from a place of, I guess, thinking Radia was minimizing the SA, or being angry that she was being, had people, supporting her for that, for, whatever reason, or feeling bad that, support was given when maybe she wasn't getting enough, or whatever it is. So there you go. And it just continues with, have fun time, and basically continuing more chatting. These chats look look nicer, look a bit nicer. Saying that they're going to be taking a break, but they're still going to be communicating, and her mentioning her fear responses, and just basically saying, yeah, I get that, and because of her past, I guess with her dad, and trust issues with that, and past trauma with that, she is not going to give maybe as much leeway as she would have if she hadn't had all those experiences. And also with the SA and other things like that, it really prevents you from trusting people, and I absolutely can understand that part. And of course, she went over to talking about rays, and talking about being a part, going into the whole manta ray thing, and the aquarium, all that, whatever it is. And then just having regular conversations here. 2+ hours counsel's office on Friday, talking after a long time Thursday, going through her all this history, and of course starting to talk about regular stuff. So this was after the parts that we had read before. She is again chastising her for using certain words, and especially when literally us communicating our feelings towards you as friends. Basically, I guess this part was also want this addressed and not pushed off into a corner until improper decisions are made again to perform a ham-fisted intervention. And again, the ham-fisted intervention, she goes and tries to defend it, saying, just going to talk to you about smaller stuff. Then unfortunately, Palm and Fen also wanted to talk as well. When we piece stuff together, in the end, I will say, and from my end, I'm just tired, and then just trying to, kind of push it to the side. And then Radiaactive says, no. I have a right to explain why I don't like what happened. I have a right to complain about what happened because it was not good that you guys did this. You guys heard what it was. I showed you what it was. It was a lot of attacks, and anything that she tried to defend herself with, other people took it as just manipulation and attacked back. So, yeah. She says she's been reflecting on them. So at various points, there could have been cordial discussions to remediate the issues, and that's the thing. Bad communication, not knowing how to communicate properly on both sides, Radia and Adora, were the issue. If there was an issue with that whole money thing, you could have just mentioned, look, I prefer you not speaking about money. I have a lot of money issues right now. I prefer if you didn't speak about money in front of me. It just makes me feel like less important, like I don't matter as much, like my things don't matter as much. So yeah, of course, she at least censored Radia's name. So Radia did, send some complaints back. They didn't ask you to do that, and says during response, they wanted Radia to self-isolate, and of course, miscommunication. The whole thing here, like, I could go through everything, and I will show you Radia talking about us, apparently, in the situation here. Apparently, it says, hearing words ham-fisted, we immediately knew she was talking about us. Made us worried. Did we genuinely care about her? We're confused. Basically, she decided to vent, I guess, on stream about the ham-fisted stuff. And let's hear a little bit of it here. It's 10 minutes, so we're not going to hear all of it.
Yeah. Oh, MFT, that's really sweet. I'm genuinely touched. I'm glad this makes you happier. Aw. Just a little guy. That's all. I'm just a little guy at the end of the day. I am just a little creature. What do you think? Should I?
So it's not. It wasn't something that hit immediately. My guess is that she started doing some what some people would consider passive aggressive stuff. I wasn't able to find exactly what it was, but probably some passive aggressive stuff where she mentioned, that there was friends tried to do a ham-fisted intervention and that type of stuff. Since I was formerly working as a chemical engineer for the government, now I do large-scale enterprise architecture and network engineering. Put everything to question. Didn't like myself during the time. Heavy depressive episode. Again, mentioning her stuff as well. Her first statement was not a resume of work experience. Her resume had no gaps either, nor did she have a degree or any statement of work as a chemical engineer. So that's where they're trying to say that she lied about certain things here. Incredibly stubborn, obtained 2 engineering degrees, concentrations, and worked my entire uni. Remember, engineering degrees can be either, network/computer, or actual like chemical engineering or whatever, and they can be bachelor's. But unless you are a accredited, actually, licensed engineer, you can't really call yourself an engineer. I obtained engineering degrees, didn't necessarily have support system, pushed myself for the last 10 years. I've been working for one part or another, the most evil telecom company in Canada. That's another person talking there. I do redacted engineering work for redacted, but like it's a life, but definitely not what it feels like today. So a clip from YouTube for speaking their education background does not line up with either 2 engineering degrees at 838. Again, supposedly more proof. Let us go and see this here. 838 is what we want to look at right here.
Would you like to explain what you have degrees in and why you're on the stream right now for STEM?
Yeah, I went to school initially for pre-med, and then that was way too expensive. So looked at my credits and went, what can we do with this? And then I went into environmental engineering and sustainability. I did biology with a concentration of microbio, and then that was also combined with like a dual major with chemistry. So that ended up getting combined.
So this may be a bit of an embellishment. It may be a bit of an embellishment, and that I can understand that. So yeah, it just continues about that whole thing. Adora was lying directly to Radia's face regarding her intentions as early as June. This is basically a snapshot of the things here, of what the last document said. I mean, break us putting content as part of our friendship. I don't want to stop being your friend. My friendship with Radia is most likely coming to a close. Now I remain cordial in mutual spaces with her, and also the situation cannot be fixed, and that's okay. So this is what she said to her up here, and bottom is what she said to the server, I guess, or to other people. Night of the 3rd is when I learned about Radia's education background. Point I was hurt and realized friendship was probably ending. So she says those things there. She tries to defend her Doxing allegations. Source claims doxing was a manager at the time. Momo reached out to ask for professional advice after learning Radia did not have a master's degree listed on LinkedIn, so she sent it there. She tries to justify for sending it there. More as well here. For things with blank for meet and greet. No, they're doing blank, which is in a lot of things redacted here. Be interested, yes. I'm unrelated note, letting you know if I'm going to be distancing from Radia as soon as Palm, etc. Sorry to hear, Adora. Still quietly figuring things out with dealing with a compulsive liar. Generally afraid of her. Lack of masters also throws a lot more into question because her EPA lab work claims would require masters to even get into the lab. I mean, if you're just an aide, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't researched that enough myself, especially when it's been up to date. Let me sit and think of that, and I'm dealing with the fact that law firm that just hired me fired me today because they no longer have any estate planning. And then here, looking at his blessing in disguise, continue on with their conversation here. Question everything because I no longer felt I knew a friend. I had no idea she was telling the truth. So, okay, but that's no reason to dox them. And yes, you did dox them because sending a LinkedIn to a third party that has nothing to do with this, other than being someone that you talk to, your manager, etc. Because according to you, they don't have a master's degree, etc. You may want to have it as proof, but still, either way, you dox them because this is not a well-known public thing that they had. This was a private thing that they let you know about because I don't know about it. No one else knows about it. You can't search it on Google. You can't do that kind of stuff. So, and also, even if you could, sometimes Google does give private information for some reason. But she doesn't do this openly saying, this is my name. And, you know, Radia saying, this is my name. This is what I do. This is all that kind of stuff beyond being Radia. So, this is continuing basically saying how, you know, the conversation about how, you know, the lying, the health insurance, the health stuff, where do the lies end, all that kind of stuff. Just continuing on and on and on. Gave instructions on what to do to record everything, as well as done everything that felt like a lie. She also said I should make a Google Doc and not make it, well, obviously you made a Google Doc because 47 pages does not happen in like 2 days that it took you to make this. You had this ready. You just added some extra stuff, it looks like. That we're worried about with Radia from our intervention, from our rush cut down of notes, was written before. You already had all these ready for you. So yeah. Basically, Palm Fen would have something to speak on as we went through the intervention, so we wouldn't go off topic. It continues to talk about the intervention, what happened, you know, going through the whole rigmarole of asking, you know, or not asking, or whatever, about, you know, confronting her, not confronting her, that type of thing. Needed proof of how it makes no sense, just go look at her LinkedIn yourself, and that's the part that we know here. And Ariel Lim, and so we promised not to leak, I won't leak to anything. You know it from her PFP. So yeah, delete her name after I sent it because I didn't want to keep it there with my manager after she was given information in confidence. Still though, no matter what the reason was, you doxed her. This just proves it. You just basically admitted you doxed her. Yeah, I doxed her because, you know, I didn't believe that she was lying and I did it to a friend and blah, blah, blah. You doxed her. That's it. That's end of story. You could say it's a whole bunch of different things unless they broke the law and you're doing it kind of like as a whistleblowing thing where, you know, they absolutely broke the law and you're doing it to law enforcement, etc., etc., so that they can tie both together. That is different. But this is just you seeming at least a vindictive dox here so that you can turn this person, Momo, against Radia. Because be like, look, she's lying because she doesn't have it in her LinkedIn, or LinkedIn is saying this, but I've been seeing other things here with EPA and blah, 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 blah. This whole part here down here is just her continuing to talk to her about, you know, Radia and complaining to others, basically poisoning the well when it comes to Momo. And yeah, it continues to go badly that way. Mental State never wanted to end Radia's career during this, merely no longer work with her, but you decided to talk to others outside third parties about the whole situation. And that is why Radia made her document. Although, of course, I will admit that some things that Radia put there made her look like nicer than she probably was. Of course, she wanted to probably put herself in a better light, etc. That can be understandable to a certain extent. But it is like, why are you putting doxing in quotes here? This doxing in quotes, there is no quotes here. You actually doxed somebody. You actually did. I hate that she's trying to hide behind, I was just, you know, concerned that she was lying and blah, blah, blah. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Continuing on here, the message Radia that we're done after this. So she did mention that we're done. Maintain your break. I'm leaving you here. Just read your own pace. Radia Digis and my legal first name are removed here below. Deleted is disconnect with my understanding of you and your understanding of me. It leads to friction, misinterpretation, overall misunderstanding. So there is basically Radia saying there's probably some misunderstandings of the friction, due to the friction, due to other things here. Isn't something that you want or cannot be feasibly do. I understand. Basically, her trying to be like, look, I want to fix this. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on here. I know that I've done a lot of bad things. I know that I've done things that broken your heart or broken your trust or anything like that. I want to fix it, but I leave it to you to decide to fix it or not. Appreciate the apology. You did it. It was a sincere and full apology here. Appreciate it. I don't think boundary was broken by you DMing me. It's going to be tough. Definitely need another conversation. So yeah, and then they continue on talking about that. And that is where pretty much, again, another call that was recorded. Twice a call that was recorded. So another call that was recorded. I'm not going to show you this one either. I showed you the other one a little bit to give you an idea of what people were saying and how aggressive they were. But again, twice she recorded a call. And this is against Discord TOS, number one. You cannot record calls on Discord, even if it is a one-party state, unless the other party does consent to it. That is in Discord's TOS. Doesn't matter what the law says. If you break the platform TOS, you can get banned from that platform. So she did announce this about the departure from Stim, other things like that. Realized that the fallout was going to be big. There's a lot of fallout here, of course. Only communication this time and Offkai was me asking her to delete her copy of the Project Stim website. This thing became messy. It became messy. This is less important. So this is talking about, of course, the intervention and also going into call with Lazerpig at Offkai, which, I'll show you in a separate little section later on. And I will make sure that you guys see that there. So she has that Lazerpig thing here. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show it to you right now. So let's listen in to a little bit of background as to why things ended up the way that they are.
I'm not very happy about any of this at all. I'm gonna be really honest.
Right? We both hurt each other, and we broke each other's trust. Just bury the hatchet.
So Adora's trying to act like she did nothing wrong here, or at least not anything super wrong. But I mean, she did dox Radia, so that is really bad.
It's just private between friends at the end of the day. Like,
You doxed me!
I did not dox you.
Adora,
I'm glad that they showed the whole thing there. She did dox her.
I have evidence that you doxed me and testimony from an individual.
Radia, we broke each other's trust. And that's what, and friendships can end. That's okay. Like, I'm hurt as well. We are both hurt. And that's fine. We can move on.
Adora, how did Radia...
She's trying to move on. Trying to be like, well, I don't have anything to say against that. So let's move it on to something else.
break your trust and hurt you?
I don't think it really matters at this point to say. She knows as well. We're friends. We were friends. We talked about it at the end of the day. I just want to bury the hatchet and move on.
You did things that don't make it able to bury the hatchet.
I'm just saying.
You don't get to do this.
I'm not doing anything.
You have a problem. You have a problem. Full stop. This is a problem.
Okay.
You could have kept this between closed parties, and it could have been solved, any miscommunication or whatever other problems you had.
Radia?
You decided to go out of that sphere.
Radia, we both hurt each other. It's a private matter between us at the end of the day.
This is not private, Adora. This is not private. You did not make this private.
I have never said
At
anything
all.
publicly.
Adora, you did not make this private because you spread it to every person in the friend circle. You weaponized people against me. You actively defamed me.
Once again, happy to bury the hatchet. Just move on. We can be quiet moots. We can coexist.
Never saying sorry once. That is the problem I have with this whole thing. Never saying sorry a darn time. And that's bad. They should both apologize and just move on, I think, at this point. It is really bad that this all happened. And of course, we're going to continue on right here. After you've seen that, again, I've already said what I need to say about that whole thing there. I hadn't made it like my manager suggested. Unfortunately, the issues we partially went over during the intervention that I sent basically 2 times they attacked. Felt immense regret and immediately sent Radia a message after I realized. Basically, the perception was bad. The perception of this whole thing was bad. Of the whole intervention, the quote-unquote intervention that they had. The reception from Radia was bad. The perception that other people were taking was bad from it, of course. Felt immense regret and immediately sent Radia a message after I realized this after Offkai, what Lazerpig was talking about, so I could open lines of communication, help settle misunderstandings. I wanted to say, I think I know everything has happened recently. It was my fault and the biggest miscommunication. And of course, Alicia right here, she tries to show that she is focusing on me, not Palmet Fen. Basically trying to apologize there. And basically, it was just, I don't know. She really does seem to be, this part here is just her mentioning how things got worse. Her putting, more information here. Recent statement from today. Relative curiosity, I have not been present in Adora's streams. Outlined her hiatus announcement. Period of mental self-restoration. This month has left me deeply saddened, so basically explaining to her community what's going on. And Adora did the same thing. Out of respect for myself at the moment, I won't be speaking further on it. She's taking her break for mental health, etc. And communication channels are open if you ever want to talk about stuff. Then, of course, leaving things open here. And it just continues. Do what's best for you. I'm happy to hear you're getting the help you need. Once again, do not speak on my behalf publicly. So, she basically removed a lot of DMs because, of course, at that point, I think she was just done. And it just continues down there. But we've gotten through the most important parts here. And another important part before we finish off everything. They both had such deep mental drops in their own respective moments that they did end up trying to commit the worst situation, trying to finish themselves off, whatever you want to call it as, and that is never good. I don't care what you see Adora doing or Radia doing. I do not wish them to ever want to game end or do anything like that. That is a serious thing. It is a painful thing for everybody involved, the families involved, the people who want to attempt it, everybody involved. And of course, that I will never minimize that at all. To be to a point mentally when you make that attempt is bad. Now, does that excuse everything that she did before? No. But that and this are 2 different things. The whole thing that happened before and the attempt are 2 different things. Yes, one led to another, but they're 2 different things, and that's why I have 2 different opinions on both things, in my personal opinion here. And of course, people try to mediate, people try to help the situation, they try to make things better, but of course, in those situations, it's kind of hard. But that's what I'm going to leave it here. It's pretty much near the end of everything here, and trying to reach out to both these clips happen, talking about leaving Stim. Next, you hear her begin to speak on wanting to release, despite once again me wanting to have during this time to de-escalate, and again saying here they'll never forgive her on July 13th, and just negative stuff. Basically, things didn't get fixed, things were bad. This is people are angry, and those types of things will happen. But in this whole situation, just giving you a conclusion on this whole thing, no side was good. I do not like that things were recorded. I do not like that the quote-unquote intervention ended up being more of an attack. I'm sorry, my brain is scatterbrained usually. I'm sorry if everything here seems scatterbrained. I was trying to process things as I was reading it. I didn't pre-read this very much to beyond what I had kind of skimmed before. So I was trying to be having everything, my full-on reaction being here, my honest reaction being here. That's why things seem scatterbrained. I do apologize for that. Since I wasn't just reading everything word for word, things may seem scattered, and I do apologize for that. But the main takeaway I have here, Adora was bad to Radia. Radia was bad to Adora in the sense of, making her feel like less, like not intentionally, but making her feel like she was less important, that type of things. Like her struggles weren't as strong, etc. After they had been talking about each other about their struggles. And I guess Radia felt comfortable enough to say the things that she said about, struggling to make ends meet and struggling to pay bills and struggling to pay everything. Adora's bad for trying to manipulate her into compliance, even if the pain was the way that it is. And I'm not going to minimize the pain that they had, because holy crap, that's pain that I've never felt, and that is severe pain, emotional, mental pain, anguish, etc. But that still, in my opinion, does not give you an excuse to try to manipulate another person or try to get compliance from them by dangling the carrot of friendship. That is not good. But of course, Radia is not innocent here either. Having said that, Radia isn't innocent, like I said, doxing somebody, never good. Going and mentioning every single issue you have with someone else to other not involved third parties is also not good. And that is the big issue that I have here. This could have been handled privately, should have been handled privately, should have never gone out of these two, not even to other members of Project STEM, not even to good, close friends, should not have gone beyond these two. Should not have gone beyond Adora and Radiaactive. The reason we have this at all is because it went outside. Adora took it outside of the friend circle, took it even outside of them two, and put it into the friend circle, put it into third parties, put it into other people, and that ended up, like, with accusations of all these lying, that ended up making it way worse than it ever needed to be. And that is the big problem that I have. That it just should have just stayed with these two. It ended up being some mean girl high school stuff that no one really wants to see nowadays. It shouldn't have been this way. And to kind of finish this whole thing off, we have Alicia, Alicia X Life, Alicia X Death, whichever one you want. She says, Adora and I had an amazing friendship and I don't regret the fun moments we've had. I do think she's turning her life for the better, but I no longer wish to be a part of it. I'm not siding with Radia or Adora, I'm simply just walking away from both. But I've been given a lot of screenshots from people I've never interacted with, and also reading about the mean girl behavior is something I don't tolerate in my spaces. I do not hate either of them, and I wish them both good mental health journeys and healing. I stand by my previous statements about Radia. I also have formed new opinions on Adora based off new information. No Google Docu here, boys, just me dipping out and VTubing in one piece. To One Piece. I'm tired, boss. Don't be involved in this. Streamers have a life most people can only dream of. People work in construction, etc., so they just have that. Fortunately, but things like this do happen, especially these toxic spaces. Let's hope people involved can grow up, seek much needed help from a therapist, and have one connection with adults. So yeah, people are kind of reacting positively to this. Take it as you will, but it is normal after getting all the information to possibly decide to no longer be a part of that whole situation. Thank you guys for watching as always, and of course take a look, and if you enjoy everything, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, all those things that YouTube asks of you. Really do appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.